Young's fried chicken. But
Not really focusing on, but I know we do learn Java and C++.
C++.
Yeah.
Okay.
But outside of that, I know I worked over last time I worked with Isaiah with CSS and HTML.
Okay. Are you guys building portfolio stuff while you're in school right now in anticipation of getting a job when you're done, or doing kind of internships? Like, so what's your current state of
what year are
affairs?
y'all?
I'm junior.
Okay. So you guys are in the prime where you're like, all right, some of the partying's over with. I've had a great time. You're like, now I've actually got to start looking at setting up things for
Yeah,
school.
right.
Okay.
So are y'all interested in doing internships or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have y'all had any?
I haven't had any internship.
Do you
Just
have
a couple of research projects that I'm working on now. But
Gotcha. Do you guys have like a GitHub or a repository of code somewhere that you can share with anything you've done in the past?
now a friend told me about GitHub like last month,
Mhm.
and I was gonna look into that. But they said a couple of companies look at your ranking on GitHub.
So-
how to if you know how to use it and stuff like that.
Ranking's okay. I mean, ultimately, and so to let you guys know, I'll do an introduction before I just start talking about. So Steve and I were
Yeah,
over
I
at
guess
Tech Park.
Yeah, so I'm the executive director of the Louisiana Technology Park. We're an incubator for technology companies. So have y'all been to the tech park?
I haven't, but I passed it a couple
Okay.
of times.
All right, so we have anywhere from 25 to 30 companies that we work with. All have to be IT or technology. And so usually we work with the founder or the founders, and sometimes they're technical in nature. They know code, but they don't know business. Sometimes it's the opposite. They know both business, but they don't have code. So they're what we call a non-technical founder. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, glad you can make it. Well, so we're just getting started.
Okay.
So we help companies go to the next level. So we help them with marketing, financials. If they need to have outside funding, go to angels or venture capitalists or like something like that. We help coach them as it relates to that, and also going beyond that as well. So we help them with their pitch deck and introduce them to people. And then we also help them out with marketing. And but before we do any of that, we sit down with them and see if their ideas are viable. We sit down. We usually talk to 2 or 3 companies every single week, and probably 1 out of 5 aren't even viable, or 4 out of 5 aren't even viable. And so everyone has a great idea, and I think this age, especially with the phones and everything else, we always have this this app, and so we're in this great age, this renaissance of I have an idea for something, so I'm going to create an app, which is wonderful, but sometimes it's not viable, whether it's just it costs too much or something like that. So we help think that through the process, and then take it to and then work with them. And so companies usually stay in the incubator about 3 years. And after that, they've outgrown us, or they've gone out of business, or they've been bought or sold or something like that. So, and then we can also, so about 5 years ago, we started an incubator just within the incubator called Level Up Lab, which is just for digital media companies. And so when I say digital media, that also means video games, but we intentionally never just focused on video games because digital media includes AR and more importantly, VR, which I'm doing. So we think of it like a 3-legged stool at the tech park, especially as it relates to video game companies, digital media companies, is we provide them specific hardware and software that digital media companies need. And then we can also provide them with some of the business acumen that digital media companies need. But one of the things we realize are that they're more creative than they are your typical entrepreneur. So they create this video game or this experience, and so or the art that goes with it. But you ever heard the old saying, starving artists? People think they're an artist and they artists don't have to make money, and that's not true. So we brought Cody in to teach them that just because they are creative, they can actually monetize their idea and make money and hopefully make lots of money. So I'll hand it over to you and tell a little bit more about Level Up Lab and what you do.
Gotcha. So Cody Lugier, I run King Pro Studios, is a video game development company. I started, so to let you guys know, like I was in business management. Big nerds. I played video games my whole life. I was creating worlds and doing all kinds of fun stuff. And I didn't realize that there were opportunities in the video game industry in Louisiana, much less Baton Rouge. I'm from Lake Charles, so I moved over here. I was here for a few years, and then I got introduced to the tech park. And that was my like launching point to kind of start my video game company. And I learned an exceptional amount in that first year using my business management experience. I was able to get teams together and do some stuff, got some private funding. And then what Stephen mentioned is like kind of the void of the whole community was we have tons of programmers, tons of artists, but they're not necessarily making like a product. They're making a cool thing, you know, or they're like, you know, I played this game whenever I was a kid. I want to make the next Mario. And you're like, all right, cool. Well, you can do that, but are you going to do it yourself? Are you going to try to hire artists? Are you hiring UI designers? How many programmers do you need? All these questions that you have to ask whenever you're doing something that you might not fully understand what you're getting into. So I actually started working. Some of the other video game companies recognized that I was doing good business, and I was one of the only people that was like making business plans, doing projections, doing all the spreadsheet stuff. And so they hired me to work with them to do some business development. We went to E3, we went to all these big conferences, we met all these video game companies. We had some levels of success, and then after that, you know, talking with Steven, and we figured out it's not just this one company that can pay for my services that can utilize this assistance. So I started working with the Tech Park as the director of digital media, and so I worked with every individual company we had. I recruited more companies to join us, and they've got to have chops. They've got to either want it real bad and put in the sweat equity to get a product out ahead of time, spending countless hours a week just doing this in their spare time, or in some higher professional senses, we have some companies that have either been kickstarted, so they've got thousands of dollars to develop their products, or they found private funding like my company did originally, where like an angel investor like Steven mentioned, they'll want to throw money at it because they're altruistic, they want to give back to the community in some way, shape, or form, or they see this as an opportunity for them to make money. And additionally, they might just like you, they want to see you succeed in life. You'd be very surprised how all these professional things, as long as you're happy, you know what you're talking about, you have a good presence whenever you're communicating with business people, how far that goes. So helping out all these other companies, we've got contracts that we're getting for these guys we're doing mobile game development for a local publisher. In 2 days, we have a huge meeting with one of the biggest companies in the world to do virtual reality training. And so we're kind of like, here in VR, like they're coming to the Tech Park. And we're making a virtual reality training demo just for them that we're going to be finishing up tomorrow. So we made some VR stuff. I made a game where you're cooking gumbo on a space station. It was originally going to be a tool for culinary institutes to save on food costs. So you can learn a recipe, you can go through chopping onions, you're following this recipe, and then we gamified it. We mixed in aliens and zero gravity and some other crazy stuff. So that, in addition to some other companies, hired me to make VR games for them. And then that kind of led into us making a professional website. It's another business that is for VR training for industry specifically. So ultimately, that hires a lot of computer science graduates, alumni, because for any of those things, you're going to need C. Now, C++ and C# are the two core game dev languages. So what's your preferred programming language? C++. Okay, so you're all C++. Gotcha. So C++, you can totally do games. Unity is C#, which is the engine that most people use. It's really easy to get into. But Unreal is C++, and Unreal is almost caught up to Unity as far as like the asset store, the functionality, the training. Like you could open up Unreal, start a training program, and it actually highlight like it's normal UI. So it's all the tools, everything, and it'll highlight and say, all right, click this to do this. This is what this is. So if you guys are interested in doing that kind of stuff, so I guess, video games, we also do application development, Android, iOS. We're talking about like unique things for individuals where we're doing development for a company who's putting their product on Android, and then we're also doing some installation stuff with people where it's like, it could be a ping in a location, and that gives you some additional information. So tons of tech companies, that's what we do. We accelerate them, we make them successful, or we help them out as much as we can. A lot of it is digital media from what I focus on, and Steven takes care of all the rest of them. The more successful they are, the better off we all are, because you're hiring people internally. So like the interns that we get, if they're good, just so you know, legally, a person can never tell you, hey, you have this internship and it's going to lead into a full-time position. Mm-hmm. Just so you know, because we're going to get into that pretty soon. But on the flip side, if you get these internships, you kind of prove your worth, that means that you're basically like top rung whenever the hiring starts. And people want to continue to work with them because if we put in the time and dedication to kind of train and help you guys out, the goal isn't, sure, it's awesome that we want to help people, but the goal is to make developers that we want to work with and that can produce things. One of the things we notice a lot of is we're talking to programmers, right? And we're like, okay, well, we have this thing that we need to do. And say it's C#. And someone's like, well, I know C++. We're like, well, it's not what we need though. Or someone's like, oh, well, yeah, I've got Java experience. I can help out on that. Still, not necessarily what we need. So we need these production-ready people for these different kinds of projects. But luckily for you guys, C++, there are tons of opportunities. A lot of things are switching to Unreal. So video games, digital media stuff, and that even goes so far as technical artistry, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with. It's really a lot of code. So in a video game or a movie, when they do CGI water, that is sounds of code. That's like physics code to make the water reflect in the right way. Physics interact with it. There are actually little artists, there's little art involved in what's going on there. It's mostly programming. So the term technical artist is someone that might have an eye for art and has taken some traditional classes to understand what they're looking at, color, saturation, all that kind of stuff. But really, it's someone that understands physics and can make something out of that. So where do, guys, we've got plenty of one-on-one time here, so we can kind of talk individually. We want to go start this way or whatever. What jobs are you trying to look for, and what internships do you see benefiting you as you continue school? Are you a junior as well?
Yeah, junior senior.
Junior senior.
For me, I'm looking more for like software engineering or like data analysis.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm really interested in. Most of the jobs that I've looked for have been around that.
Have you had any internships or anything yet?
Not really in computer science. I've
Okay.
done some research in physics,
Yeah.
and then I also did I was a STEM instructor for one of the community colleges.
Yeah, okay.
But besides that, I haven't done any like formal
Right.
programming as an intern.
Well, employers going to want to see a well-rounded individual too. So that's good that you do other things other than computer science or whatever your major is. Last night I was at an event at LSU and we had 11 technology companies present, all of them looking for graduates. I think probably I was doing the calculation ahead last night between 11 companies. There was somewhere between 850 job openings. So those are here in Baton Rouge. That's IBM, that's Trace Security, that's Cell Control. All those are here in Baton Rouge, and then there's DXC.
Technology.
Yeah, and they're opening. They have a huge building right across from the Superdome. So there are more job openings here in South Louisiana. Shake a stick at. So y'all are going to be in demand, and kind of like what Cody was saying too. You need to know maybe they're looking for one specific code or something. You need to be able to stretch your. If you can do this, then also do this code. Try to stretch it in because they want to see you as most versatile as you are. So don't leave the state. Don't leave Baton Rouge. We've got jobs for you here, and good jobs too. So
So for the other so for video game stuff.
okay, good. And you said you hadn't done any.
Oh, no, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Okay.
All right, so we've got software, we've got software development, folks in video games, and then you also have some physics experience. What about you?
Same as them, and I also am kind of taking the entrepreneurship route with developing a mobile application. Right now, I was selected, one of the 4 students selected for our innovation center here on campus to develop my idea. Awesome. And it's a social media music app.
Okay. So it's like you're able to share your current hot song that you're
Yeah.
listening to with people on the same network?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah, something similar to that. With a little more detail, be able to basically give them a platform for local artists or musicians, something that they really don't have out there for them right now, outside of maybe a MySpace, but MySpace is really not focused on
That's still
music. Yeah.
Yeah, like
See, people really don't know about MySpace, but they've tried to trigger and focus more on music,
okay.
but it really hasn't taken off with them. So I guess they're kind of trying to go back to
social
What
media.
the social media,
Yeah.
befriending people, kind of what Facebook eliminated them with. So,
Right, yeah.
It's kind of funny. So I know tons of local artists, all people. I mean, it's Bandcamp, it's SoundCloud, it's
And SoundCloud is basically a streaming system, like
Yeah.
it had Pip and stuff like that. So I was like, if we put both of these together
Okay.
and give local musicians or local artists a platform to put their music out there and then be able to open up a new door to a different fan base that they might not have in another place.
So next Thursday, Thursday night, at 5 o'clock, there's something called Get Started Louisiana. It's a pitch competition. It's free to go, and I would encourage y'all all to say I'd love for you to be there too. There are 5 people are going to be pitching. Someone is doing something very similar to you, and they're at the LSU Student Incubator. It'd be interesting to see if there could be a partnership there.
Okay.
But the pitches start at 6:30. The Cox is paying for the whole thing, so it's if you're over 21, there's a open bar, but there's going to be great food there. And now is the time also to start networking, talking with people, talking to people in the industry, whether they're fellow entrepreneurs or owners of other companies as well. And you'll also hear the pitches, see what ideas and what's going on, and hear what the judges are saying. The winner gets $10,000. So maybe next year you can apply and win as well. So, but that's the website is Get Started Louisiana. I think it'd be, and then next week before that is Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week, and so that's also a good time for folks just on entrepreneurs, and that's celebrateearly.org.
So the pitch competition is tomorrow.
It's next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Yeah. Okay. It's at the it's on at the new water campus thing right there by the Mississippi Bridge.
Mhm.
So I haven't ever been there. I only went there when we were looking at spaces, and it's pretty. I can't wait to be there tonight.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a great. Over 200 people are going to be there. So I think it'd be really cool to be there and to interact. And that's what you really have to do as you start progressing. We were in a meeting the other day talking to someone. You need to start networking. And I don't know if y'all have a LinkedIn account, but stop spending as much time on Facebook or Instagram or whatever y'all do. I have my oldest is y'all's age, so I don't know what he does on that, but he has a LinkedIn account, and he needs to. And y'all need, as your juniors, that is a pivotal time, and a senior, that is a pivotal time. Stop the horsing around and start focusing on LinkedIn. As anyone who wants to hire you, either as an intern or as a full-time employee, is going to see that. If you have any foolishness going around there, I'm talking like I'm your dad or something here, but you got to stop that. You need to focus on LinkedIn. This is the point where you suddenly stop becoming a college kid, and now you're almost a graduate, and you're ready to go out there and get a job. And so if you don't have a LinkedIn account, you just get one and start populating it and be a professional.
The benefit of LinkedIn, really like going back to networking, the reason why it's going to benefit you is one, it's an online resume and portfolio. So you can put links to all the projects you've ever worked on, school, outside of school, personal. You can make the projects on there. You can link it to businesses that you work with. In addition to that, you can put links to your GitHub repositories or however you're sharing your code. So this is your professional online space. The second benefit of that is, like, whenever you make a LinkedIn, you send us a request to connect, friend request, same thing, right? Then it's all about networking. So then when you're looking at other people who might be trying to hire you as an intern, and they see that you have me and Steven as friends on there, and they were second, third degree connections, it shows you how many friends separated from this person do you know them. That is, even when I'm hiring people, I look at the same thing. I'm like, how many people do they know in my network? And then I can even talk to some of those people as maybe impromptu references. Like, hey, I noticed you know this person, how do you know? And then the conversation starts there. We've hired people by looking at finding out who they've worked with. And the funny thing is, even seeing more things on their LinkedIn than a tourism person. Because you're nervous, you don't even know what's going on, you might forget some things, but it's there. And once you get all your history on there, it's just adding the new things that we have. So it's great for resumes and portfolios. It's great for applying for jobs. It's its own application service. So like IBM has jobs on there. You have a one-click button. That's it. It's it. And then they not only see your resume and portfolio, they see all your connections. So your references are done. And people can endorse the things that you've done. So I have all my friends for game development specifically. I have friends that would go on there and and endorse that I am a prominent person that has skills in game development. All these other things on there too. You put all your skills on there. So when people go there, they see, oh, 40 people have endorsed this guy for game development. He must know what he's talking about, or just be really good at networking too. Either of them, still great. So entrepreneurship specifically, what Steven mentioned about Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week, it is the biggest entrepreneurial event in Baton Rouge.
I went to Norway last year.
That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
So
found out about Brew.
yeah, cool. I was gonna write it on the board, so it's celebratebrew.com or something like that. And when Get Started Louisiana, you need to register. It's important that you register for Get Started Louisiana, because I know that we have a certain cutoff for that. And, but also getting back to LinkedIn, obviously our guys at the tech park, they're smaller, but I see their hiring process and I see IBM's process. And just because you're working with a smaller company, you don't get off. It's not like, yeah, they may have a more relaxed environment once you get in there, but they are going to look at you even more critique than maybe IBM will. I've seen them bring in people for coding and stuff, and they give them a thing and they want them to whiteboard, and then they'll bring them in again on whiteboard. So just set your expectations. So don't go in there. It's like, oh, I'm talking to a 3-year-old company. I'm just be able to breeze through because they're a startup, and I've seen Silicon Valley and all that type of stuff. It's like, yeah, it may be like that once you get in there, but before that, you need to dress appropriate and coat and tie, nice dress or something, and just don't ever dress. If they say business casual, go beyond that, because you never. It's always better to be overdressed, minus a tuxedo. And I'm sorry, I have 3 sons. I don't know how women do, but you know what I'm talking about. Always be more professional than they tell you to be, because if not, it's just gonna get you down. And that's for internships on up to jobs, no matter who it is.
You want to impress them. I mean, that's what it boils down to, right? So that you'll stand out. Like when we get people that come in, I had a guy who had a Hawaiian shirt, cut off cargo shorts, and sandals come in. And he thought because he was an awesome programmer that he did not need to dress up for the job. Now, that kind of goes into, well, this person can care about this, what else do they care about? I mean, there's all kinds of openings in how you're going to perceive that person that can go into a very negative place. So press them, make sure you're like, you want to always be the best option here. Like whenever that you're the exact person that they want for this internship. You talk about your experience, what your passions are, but also just be kind of chill enough to where you're not. A lot of people get really, really enthusiastic about it. Maybe they go kind of crazy with it. You just be yourself. And additional, one of the other things that everything in life, experience. So you do that once, you might have thought you bombed it because you were nervous, you were sweating, or whatever it was, you stammered. Then the second, third time that you're doing this, it might even be good to apply to a couple of places to get practice. Like seriously, like get in there and go, okay, I understand the process, and then see what other people's processes are. The second thing that I want to throw in there, because you're going to be looking for these jobs, is if you are actually contributing a valuable skill, they're going to want you as much as you want that job to. People will sometimes, they'll try to, it's kind of like you think that you're there to impress them, which you are to a degree. You always need to have that in there, but they also need to be a fit for what you're doing too. They need to be a company you want to work for. So you want to find out what are their values, what is their goal. It's okay to ask these kind of questions. As you're aging, you'll realize, it's the adult kid kind of, dichotomy, right? So it's like, well, they're an adult. I want to listen to them. I want to do it. I want to get this job, so I want to put my best foot forward. When you're dealing with computer science industries, it's not like other jobs for the most part. Like they're gonna treat you as an equal until proven otherwise. So you want to go in there and you need to make sure that this works for you too. And if you have a bad feeling about something, there's a reason for that most likely. That's just like human interaction in psychology. If you're like, the boss was kind of just really hard to deal with, and I'm not sure if I enjoy working with them, get some more interviews in that process before you make that decision. Just because they're the first person that reached out to you doesn't mean there's not going to be more. You got to think of it that way. One person reached out to you, even though it's the first in your whole internship, career, you will have other opportunities as long as you continue to work diligently. Make sure that they know that you're a worker and that you can do this stuff And if there's some things that you don't know about, it's not like, well, I don't know about that. It's well, I don't have any like wording, right? So it's like, well, I don't have any current experience in that field while we're still learning, but I'm more than happy to sit down and take some additional time to learn what's needed in those roles. And that's not like, oh, well, I know C++, but I can do Java. Like those are a little bit different. Then it's more like oh, well, here's our policies and procedures, and here's the programs that we use that we can train you on. Like, oh, well, I don't have that understanding, but I'm happy to learn. Coach a bit.
Don't lie about it. Say, yeah, I know that, and then because once you get in there, they're gonna find out.
Yep.
But say, maybe I've done a little bit of it, or I don't know a lot about it, but I want to learn. So I can do it. And that's once an employer or hears from the person that they want to learn, or I want, I can do that, or something along those lines, then that just, that's like, okay, that's great. Because a lot of times we're just hearing from people, it's like, take what you can get, you love me, or you go type thing. It's like, you want to show them that you're here and you always want to keep.
So we talked about like the things that you can do to make your internships easiest and present yourself in the best manner. Specifically, what the Tech Park can, what we're doing over there is we do have software development companies, we have app development companies, we have marketing companies, we have video game development companies. So we have lots of computer science opportunities. What we would like to develop and what we can talk about more is the pipeline of getting that kind of information. It's like after we have this conversation, if you guys get your LinkedIn together and get your portfolios and get your code on some kind of repository, it's really just a code review. Any computer science job, all of our programmers, they get a code test. So if you're like, I'm a C# guy, I can do this. We're like, okay, cool. On a pen and paper, how would you structure a game loop to make something jump and then land and have an animation attached to it? Or just that's an example. And then that person on a whiteboard or a piece of paper has to write it all out. They understand you're not into the environment. It's not going to populate the next thing that you need to fill in that line of code for the correct command or anything like that. But they just want to see that you have the full understanding and that you're willing to do it. We had one guy that did one line of code, and he was like, well, I just can't do this without my IDE. He's like, I need to have my Visual Studio up so I can hit my tab and find out what the next thing is. And we're like, well, but do you understand? We didn't want this to be 100% accurate. We're not expecting this to work. It's a piece of paper. It's not done. You can't compile this. We just wanted to see the kind of person that they were. And also, there's all those little tests that you'll have during the process. So ultimately, we talked about some internship stuff, how to present yourself. We do have computer science opportunities as far as game development, software development, and entrepreneurship as well. A lot of entrepreneurship stuff. So you guys sculpt your professional face, what you're going to present to people. Be happy to review them. If you guys want to send it my way and see if it's way, we can take a look at that. I can have our programming managers and engineers take a look at it too, and then they'll be able to go. And I'm sure they might be like, okay, well, this needs better work, this needs more work, or they're not really showing all the kind of stuff that we need for this job. Anyway, you'll get some feedback for it. How's it going, guys?
Hey, how are y'all?
How are you?
Good.
So we were just talking about computer science opportunities for internships at the Louisiana Technology Park and how to present yourself in the best possible manner whenever you're applying for these internships. Are you guys both computer science people as well?
Correct.
C++ as well. I'm guessing it's a universalized curriculum or okay. Yeah. Give you the breakdown real quick. If you don't have a LinkedIn, make one. Put all your best stuff on there. Network as much as you possibly can. Show up to every programming event that's local. We're talking about .NET hackathons or anything that happens like that, because we're in Louisiana, guys. It's all about hanging out half the time. So like whenever you show up to these events, you get engaged with somebody. That's how opportunities will be presented to you, in addition to you searching for them as well. So
What are y'all interested in? Are you programming where it has some entrepreneurship here, some digital media? What are y'all? What year are you in when you interest?
Well, I'm in my last year,
Okay.
and I'm interested in information.
what about you?
I'm in my third year and I'm interested in cybersecurity.
Okay. Okay.
So both of you, and that's still along the lines. The Tech Park has both of those things. Companies that do them.
I was just telling them, I went to an event last night, we had 11 companies there, and they were all talking to the students, telling them about their company. I think I counted about 850 job openings. A lot of IT, a lot of cybersecurity as well. So are several companies here in Baton Rouge. Some in New Orleans too, but I'd rather you stay here in Baton Rouge. But we need people like y'all to stay here, because they're good paying jobs here. They're companies here that need you, so.
The reason why also staying here benefits not only you, but it's like your family too. Like not just the fact that you're close to them. The point is, when a big company like IBM comes to this area and they provide this wealth of opportunity, if we can give them the talent that keeps them here, then that's, just you mentioned hundreds of jobs, hundreds of good jobs for an awesome, resume at anything. You put that you worked for IBM even for 6 months. That's amazing for most other employers. But we have that here. So even if your plans are ultimately to find your own company or work as a CTO of some other company, do those kind of things, completely doable here. But then you're building up the community. So you then get the ability and the opportunity to pass on that information to the next generation of programmers that comes through. And that way the struggles that you went through, and help them kind of sculpt it. Like I had the entire Lake Charles, like an old dude. So like when I was going to school, like we didn't have a lot of this stuff. It was not the same way. And you'll hear that from a bunch of people, I'm sure. Just even the instructors here, when you look at like the equipment that you have, it's a completely different environment. But I grew up with people and I was like, I want to make video games. I want to do this digital media stuff. And they're like, oh, well, and they're like, Charles, you can't really do that. So go work for plants. I'm like, that's not what I want to do. So it took me a while to finally get what I wanted in life. And my quality of life has been insane in the last few years. Like working at the tech park has been amazing. I get to go to conventions. I get to be around video games. I have meetings with like Blizzard, Activision, like those kind of people, real legit people that I never thought as a dude from Louisiana that I would be across a table with these top level executives who are making huge company decisions. Like I was talking to a World of Warcraft game designer, and like we actually had 2 local game developers who moved to California, Irvine, California, and are now working for Blizzard. Like that's insane. It blows all of our minds, that's a possibility because they were very dedicated, they had great portfolios to show. And I'll tell you, one of the guys got the job because he was at a party after a game conference. So he was like at E3, he was at a party with the Blizzard people that he already had an interview with. The lead engineer was there. They were all drinking, having a great time. They're just partying. It's California, right? They're just in a conversation and everything, and the guy's like, oh, well, do you have a repository or repo that I can see your code on? The guy pulls up his GitHub thing on his phone, shows it to the lead engineer, and this guy's at a party, like with music blaring around and everything, doing a code review. After that code review, he asked him some questions about it. He was satisfied enough with what he saw. The next day, they gave it off.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the kind of way. So again, the story kind of goes to networking is really important. Being at all these events. If he didn't go to that party to just be around these people. And look, man, I was at another party. There was a bunch of game developers, right? It was pretty cringy in one of these parties. Like, these people were trying to dance. It wasn't very good looking, and like they were just having a great time. I was there to support them. We were all having a wonderful event. But they're not all going to be amazing opportunities. Be at every single one of them.
Because you never know who you're talking to. Exactly. Because this person may just look like, like they just came in off the streets, but they may be the CEO or they may be. So when I got my job at the tech park, they were deciding between me and someone else, and they brought the whole staff together. So tell us, who do y'all think? And the receptionist said, I want Stephen, because when he came in, he spoke to me, he was nice to me, and then the other secretary said the same thing. You got to be nice to everyone, because you never know. If I would have gone in there and said, it's just the secretary, does it matter? Yeah. Secretaries and receptionists are the gatekeepers. We'll never forget that. So
We have this gentleman over at the tech park, and I say hi to her every single day. That is part of my routine. It's like clockwork. We say the same words, but it doesn't matter. It's the fact that we acknowledge each other, we're happy to see each other, and like that way communication is much easier then.
And if someone's a jerk to you or something, just as much as you can, just let it slide. Never burn a bridge. Never burn a bridge.
And with programming specifically, there is, whenever you get higher up there are people that will have an ego, and they want code written in a certain way. Oh, your comments aren't what they want, or you're not describing things in the right manner. Just learn how to deal with those people. Ultimately, their goal is to make a good product and make it easy for everyone else to utilize. So kind of, social eloquence is, I'm sure, please no offense to any of my computer science people whatsoever, I also deal with lots of artists, is not something that is one of the soft skills that everyone has. So just understand that, like, if someone's being a little harsh, they're just wanting to find out information. I mean, of course, you know what rude is. If someone's just being straight up, don't worry about that. Like, that's something you probably don't want to work with. You know, that's what you valuing yourself as a human who you're working with. So I was telling them, we talked about like how to present yourself, what kind of stuff you guys are interested in, and again, if you guys get LinkedIn's portfolios, we're more than happy for us to review them, get our lead engineers to do the same thing, and then also when you do that, you're now throwing your hat in the ring with us. So if you give us those portfolios, so we have opportunities all the time, and everything's project based from where from my standpoint. It's a project that might last 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. But those are limited opportunities most of the time. So we have your information, and then we're looking to fill those spaces and then give people those opportunities, then that's how we get them. Now, sure, you'll be in the running for anything in the future, but it's like, a conversation we're having right now, if I talk to someone tomorrow and they're like, oh, well, I'm looking for an intern in cybersecurity, or I need another game development intern, or we have an entrepreneurial business/programming opportunity, or a software development, anything, I can go, oh, well, I talked to some people yesterday. Let me get the information from Isaiah, and we'll see if that's something that can start.
We've got about 10 minutes left, and as you can tell, we could talk about this all night.
All
And I know
night.
you don't want it to be sit around here all night, so let's we'll flip the tables here. And what are y'all have any questions or anything that we can answer for y'all? Like anything.
Go ahead.
It was a quick question. Going back when you was talking about the like animation, so basically you would be saying that like the Disney movie Moana, that movie would be mostly code instead of like
Oh, yes.
it was a lot of code making that
It
movie.
was mostly code, because not only that, so it's they're dealing with high level animation like that, Pixar, they're doing all those kind of things. An easy way for you to find out what those people need, go to their company websites and look up what jobs are listed, or even just Google technical artists for Pixar or whatever it is. You'll be able to see the programs they use, the requirements they expect people that are getting in there. But yeah, just Google technical artist stuff. It's a complete different beast. I mean, and so it is a lot of physics-based stuff. So that because the computers do all that stuff for you. It's like you don't have to worry about like knowing this algorithm and formula. It's a copy paste, or it's already embedded in the program that you're interacting with. So technical artist is a very interesting role. I'll tell you this right now. You can do that stuff. That is one of the highest paid and sought after roles in those environments because it's hard. It's not easy because traditionally artists probably don't have a lot of physics backgrounds or even programming. So if you have enough art to know how to do things. Now also understand too, in these bigger roles, if someone is hiring a technical artist, you're part of a huge team, or at least a big team. So like you're not working by yourself. You're not the only person that's going to have to make the water in Moana look realistic. You and like 50 to 70 other people are working on all of those things, from the rocks to the lava to the sky.
Starting salary.
Starting salary, I mean, so what we have locally is about 75K. And just let you guys know, some software development companies will start anywhere between 40 to 50K, 75K entry level. That's probably with limited experience, if any experience at all, just because of that skill set that is needed. So,
But remember, you're starting here in the company. I mean, so you're going to be doing the low personal job, but it's a great pay. I can't tell you how much more.
That's awesome pay in Baton Rouge.
oh yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, even entry, like I said, entry level software, you're lucky if you're getting 45, 48.
Especially
Yeah.
Yes.
And then also take into account just for IBM, let's say, with their starting salaries, maybe 60s, thereabouts here in Baton Rouge. But you could be here and then you could also go to China or you can go somewhere else. There's so many benefits. So look at the whole thing. Don't just say, okay, I don't want to stay here and work for $60,000. Just think of what the potential could be 5 years down the road. And remember, no matter where you are, unless it's your own company, you're probably starting at the lower range, but that's the best place to be because you can only get money.
Real quick, and as far as that's concerned, as you guys probably know, remote work is all the rage. Like you don't really have to be in a physical location to do good work anymore. We interact with people all over the world. We talk about China, Russia. We've done game development stuff with people in Japan, all over Europe, Canada, and all over the States. So that's another opportunity if you're like, you're here, but just look for those remote opportunities.
But you'll
Well,
probably,
you got one. I want to give everybody one chance.
Okay,
To
okay.
you. No, look, I'm here to talk to you. So like, I saw you had your hand up and you both are on at the same time. Who wants to go first?
For like I'm an entrepreneur, so like what entrepreneurial like opportunity do you have at the Louisiana Tech Park? Because I really would like to get involved. Okay.
start there.
Yeah,
Start
Okay.
there. And go to our website and go on our mailing list. So we have monthly lunch and learns. And then, but really, there are other things called, there's an organization here in town called SCORE, which is a group of people who volunteer their time to help you write your business plan. And then there's SBC here on Southern campus.
Yeah, I
Has,
meet with them tomorrow.
cool, Ada.
That's where you want to go.
She has more workshops than, I mean, it's like every day I'm getting something from her. So you need to get on those mailing lists,
Okay.
and then also just start networking, talk to people, find out what other entrepreneurs are. The great thing about entrepreneurs and founders, they want to tell their story. This is their baby. They've been so successful. Even if this maybe their first one didn't do well, they want to tell that story too about how they did succeed. Buying a cup of coffee is the most valuable thing that you can do. Go to LinkedIn or find someone like that and say, can I buy you a cup of coffee? And then sit there and shut up and just listen to what they're saying. And then after that, ask them if, can they recommend who else you think they should talk to? Who's your mentor? And just make it like that. And just close the mouth, open the ears, and hear, and you'll go all.
And buying them a cup of coffee is a great way too. Like Steve mentioned, whenever I first started my video game company, I met with all the other video game company founders and either took them to lunch or brought drink, coffee, whatever it is. Now, Steven said, sit back and let them tell the story, which in some of the bigger level people, entrepreneurs, yes, is what you want to do. With the kind of, I guess, more leisurely access I had to these guys, I had a list of questions. So I basically said that was Jason.
Oh yeah, ask us, but listen to them.
Don't.
You're not there to tell your story. You're there to hear your story.
So you want to learn.
Yeah. Exactly.
But whenever they're talking about things, absorb as much as possible because like we're talking a whole lot right now, right? That's because this is probably only like 5% of the total information we can talk about. Like if we had hours, we could cover so much. But there's the retention from all the information that we're going to spit at you right now is probably not low enough as is. So try to get what you need out of that meeting. But you'd be surprised. Everyone needs to eat, right? So everyone needs to go to lunch. That's a way that I've networked like crazy. And then as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, there's Google like Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week. You're gonna find a lot of information there, but also the Lunch and Learns. There are other events that go on in the city. I don't have immediate knowledge of the titles of them right now, but like things where CEOs and entrepreneurs meet up and have like an open forum for you to go and meet with them and ask them questions. So find some of those kind of events, and it might be specific to a kind of business. Maybe it's finance people getting together, maybe it's realtors getting together. But find the kind of community that you want to join. Just go to every single one.
If you can, find a mentor.
Mentors are important.
And it doesn't matter if the mentor didn't right up your alley or in your industry, as long as that person has connections and has the acumen that you want to hear, that's so helpful.
Question.
What do you recommend with consider support from everyone in
So experience, we were talking about that, the GitHub. I'm not a coder. Spend 5 minutes with me, you'll figure that out. But experience, and then like we were saying earlier, if you're going to the job interview, whether it's for an internship or for a job, and they say, we're really casual around here, just come as you are, coat tie or dress. Always be above. Don't ever give them an inkling, a minimum of a reason exactly to say, well, you showed up in just a t-shirt.
The other thing is the other people you're competing with. So that understand is always competition. So whenever you're talking about how do you set yourself apart from the crowd, how do you make yourself stand out as the primary candidate, one, you have to have the skill sets they're looking for. So continuing to work on your programming and making the repository that you have look good. You don't want to put all your stuff up there, of course. You're like, oh yeah, I worked on this whole project. If it doesn't look good, don't put it on there. You want to put your best material up there. So because they're not going to spend a lot of time with guys. So when they do their quick search through your code, oh, it's commented correctly, it's very clean, the loops are closed, like all that kind of stuff. That's what's going to set you apart because they get stuff all the time that isn't very clean or isn't constructed in the best manner. Or maybe if the person is knowledgeable and they're reading through it, they might even go, this looks copied and pasted from somewhere else. Everyone goes to Stack Overflow. We all know where to get that stuff from. So it's not like that's hidden from anyone else on the internet. And if they put something in there, mind you, as programmers, a lot of what we do is copying and pasting from people on those forums. That's totally okay. Even high-level people do the same thing all day. All right, very experienced programmers, because there's a new thing. They're like, oh, well, I've never done this interaction in a virtual reality environment between this object and this object with these physics. All right, Unity support forums, Oculus support forums, Stack Overflow, got it, copy paste, throw it into Visual Studio, and it works. You hope it works as you always should. Best case scenario, it only gives you a few years. So that's really it. Dress better than what they expect you to dress. Now, you don't need a tuxedo. Yeah. But having a tie on, making sure that they know that what you're walking in there to do is important to you. Because when I see people come in, I can look at them and say, okay, how important is this to them? Because I'll get AIU students or LSU students sometimes, and they're students, right? So they come in looking like students. And maybe they just came right after class. That's okay. Bring clothes with you when you're going to go. That's what's going to set you apart. Because right now, all the hiring that I've done, I can think back and I'm like, the people that I've hired had either they were extraordinarily passionate and had, they wanted it. You got to be hungry. This is something that you really want. If you don't want it, it's easy to tell. Like in communication, and you're lackluster about it. Maybe you're not excited, or maybe there's just something that you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. Or yeah, I've done this in the past. Well, tell me what you did in the past. Well, how did you accomplish this goal? And let them, of course, ask the questions and all that kind of stuff. What I mentioned them earlier was, you're a human, and this is a human interaction. You basically want to make sure that this company you're working for fits you and your culture and things that you want
It's
to
a
do.
conversation. So
Exactly.
they aren't just interviewing you. You've got to make sure that you're happy with with the environment stuff. Because if you're not happy, then you're not. You need to move on to something else. It's not going to be a good experience.
We just like working for anyone else. I mean, that's basically it. Like if I'm unhappy here making this rate, then why am I not just unhappy working at a restaurant making the same amount of money whenever I can have more free time doing some other kind of stuff? So you got to think about where you want to go, how you can accomplish those goals by putting your best foot forward, making sure that, again, as programmers, as coders, whatever you want to call yourself, developers, engineers, gotta have a great portfolio. Because as you know, I don't know what your skill sets are by any of our conversations until I look at your code. And then I can tell how organized you are, how efficient you are, and what your overall knowledge is. Are you repeating certain things that don't need to be repeated and moved up in one loop? It's stuff like that. So get on GitHub. Get that repository of code up there. The other thing is, there's tons of people you can follow on GitHub and get free code bases. So we're talking about anything. Bare bones Android app, iOS app that does this, and this, stuff that might even accelerate what you're working on. Now, I know you probably want to develop from scratch, as most programmers want to develop from scratch. That's just the thing. But still, Googling someone else's material is completely and utterly okay, especially in those kind of public forums that allow that information. So, question. Do either of you ladies have any questions? We'll go back to you.
I have one question.
Yes.
I know that computer science is like a broad term, but what are some front end jobs that are like very popular?
So you're looking at like web dev stuff?
Like
or-
UI, UX.
Yeah, UI, UX. So, I mean, well, web dev is mostly, user interface and user experience. So that's it. So it's like web dev, right? So you're looking at, and the difference between a web developer and a web designer are two different things, but it is not exclusive. If you're a developer, you can't have design jobs. Going back to the artistic eye, like your colors, how to match things, conflicting and contrasting. So web development is probably the easiest to get into and most profitable because everybody needs a website. And all these companies that go through the tech park, that's one of the things they don't have. And I tell them, look, I was like, if you don't have the funds to do this, go to Wix. Grab a template, throw your information in there. WordPress, Wix, whatever it is that makes your life easy and you can spend about an hour doing it. You'd be surprised how easy it is to do those things, but no one just knows that exists. They assume that you got to put code in, it's HTML, you got to put, here's your borders, here's your spacing, here's your all this other kind of stuff. So web development is something I would highly suggest. Also, whenever you get into the application development side of things, like we have a UI UX person that is in the tech part working for Pixel Dash that we utilize for all of our UI UX. Now, it might not be her specifically developing it because she has other things to do, but if we have other artists or programmers that are working with us on projects, we'll get her to come and do a review. And she has a lot of knowledge on the appropriate way humans interact. On 1 second. So, did you have a question? Okay, so he had asked first for another question.
Okay.
Let's do this and then this is 1 second.
We also have an online viewer as a question,
Oh, okay.
so I want to make sure we address that before.
Totally.
All right, let's go.
All right.
So that question is about cybersecurity
Okay.
and cybersecurity opportunities at the LA Tech Park.
We do have cybersecurity companies at the tech park that are always looking for valuable adds to the company. I know that across the hall from me, he just took his thing.
Ballast.
No, not Ballast. David's Dearman's
Strix.
Strix. So Strix, Strix LA is one of them. They are cybersecurity, I think, almost focused, or it's not exclusive. But they just hired, I think, a student. I don't remember the guy's name. I met him on the last Tech Park luncheon.
Yeah.
So they're looking for people that are interested in doing these kind of things. Talk about cybersecurity
Yeah.
earlier.
And then also a company that graduated from the tech park, Trace Security. It's a huge security company here in Baton Rouge. So of the 11 companies that presented last night, I would say more than half mentioned cybersecurity. That is if it's not the up and coming, it is the hottest thing happening right now.
It's a buzzword that scares people easily.
Yeah, in fact, we have a program called Apprenti happening right now where we're gathering apprentices and they're going through the training program. At the end of that, there's a job and it's all around cybersecurity. And so it's that is if you can pivot or something into that, or if that's something that's interested you, that is the way to go right now. And I can't see it going dimming down anytime soon.
What with Apprenti, how is the process of someone getting involved in that work?
I don't know the website right now, but it's APPREIRENTI, Apprenti. Just Google it and with Baton Rouge. Probably being students wouldn't really work for you right now. You need to be ready to do a full-time job and to be in the training for 10 weeks. But this is an ongoing program, and so I think it would be something that that John maybe do once you graduate. But I think just knowing that cybersecurity is one of the things that it's looking to do, that it just shows you that that's a segment of this industry that we're going to be in for a long time. Just watch the news between Russia and China. We're going to be busy for a long time. So so even from the smaller companies, the tech part, all the way up to Trace Security, which has 100 employees.
And then there's eTel. Part of what they do is not just the internet service and cloud storage and other things. They have cybersecurity there. And I bet if you go to the eTel job posting website, you might even so the tech park is one building, and then there's the Bon Prairie Business Center, which is really everything in that area off Florida, and that has eTel and what is it?
Has Cox.
Cox Communication is there. So there's a lot of other, even Cox Communication. That's another complete option for cybersecurity and software and everything. Anything computer science or even tech related, they probably have some kind of opportunity. And the other thing, just to be wary of, is if you guys are like looking for these jobs online and you're not seeing them, they're not there every day, right? So people post new things every day. They take things down when jobs are filled, but new things will appear as regularly as you check them. Like I check the Blizzard jobs once a month. Because I'm bored or I want to see what's new and what new projects they have. And that's not just Blizzard. I do all these other big video game companies because I also want to know, as someone who helps the scene, like what are these companies looking for? And what are the skill sets that if we help people train up and build, they could get jobs at Blizzard, just like what we mentioned.
That's a great point. Start looking now at job descriptions because y'all are in a great place. Y'all have a year and a half maybe to try to kind of mold what you're going to walk across the stage with. And if you can look at that and say, I don't really have that yet. If you can't find it here, if Southern doesn't have it, there are online things through the library. I know through the EDR library, there are great courses plus and other things like that that are free. All you need is a library card. And so look to those as well. It's just you're in a great opportunity. Your minds are so young and you're ready to take on. You have a lot of free time that you can learn things about it. So don't feel like, okay, I'm this and these are the only courses or the only skill sets I have. Like, no, you've always got that experience. So it's a good point.
And you got a question, and then we'll go to you.
I had a minor question. You was saying something about how you could work with like companies in different countries. My question was how important is foreign languages to computer science? Or is it important at all?
So that's like a totally different beast. Basically, because the way that code is in different languages and the different programs that you have to do that, I have never had any of the people we worked with not speak English and not also want their code in English. So that's the other thing is, I've never even seen a foreign language IDE or what it looks like. I imagine Japanese would be pretty interesting. So vertical at that point in time, or how they're even structuring that. I don't even know because everything's been in English. So not a huge.
But if you go to, if you
thinking about
look
it.
to be with someone like IBM or an international company like that, and if you speak Mandarin or something like that, that's going to open up opportunities for you that you wouldn't believe. So,
Totally right. Now, so is it necessary?
Yeah.
No. Will it make you stand out and look awesome? Oh yes. Any kind of foreign language immediately puts you in a position where now if they have clients that are in that area, they're going to need someone to communicate with those people. And that could accelerate you into new roles, higher level management, executive levels, just because you're the only person that can do that. And you need that person to communicate. Because there's a linguistics people that get hired just to do business. Like we deal a lot with people in China and Japan, and more China than Japan. But there's a huge thing where they will send us a document and it's not translated. Google Translate does not make that clean. It's very hard to read. And even the reverse, we need to send, so there's always at least one point of contact who is bilingual minimum, and they can correctly translate those things. They're also a part of that company. Like that guy's like a lead business guy or lead engineer, but he has the knowledge to take those documents and make them, and he's probably a manager because he can then share that tasking or whatever it is with the rest of the team.
another
Yeah,
question. Okay.
Off of the UI, UX, the young lady that you said is at the tech park, does she do any like workshops or anything with like teaching better habits or
So
mobile applications?
I mentioned some of the social, I guess, climate of different people, and Stephen and I are the faces of a lot of what we do. So the fact that we're here talking to you, we talk a lot. If you can tell. Not everyone likes to talk in front of people who do those things. Saudia is an amazing person, and it took months for her to even speak to me after I met her. So while I would say I don't see that in the cards for her future, what I can do is relay that information to her. So she has a valuable skill that some students would find a lot of benefit of being a part of, but please don't hold your breath. Now, what that also does is that allows us to know that that is something that is of interest, and that could be a topic of conversation for any of our future workshops or things like that. So we'll make sure. Do you guys get the Tech Park Thursday emails over here, just with any kind of?
Not yet, but we can.
Okay, cool. So we'll make sure to get them on the mail.
And maybe that's maybe you have a cup of coffee with them or something like that, or something along those lines, or Cody and y'all three have a cup of coffee or something like that.
Okay.
Especially if you guys have like, she does want to help. Not like as long as she's like, but it's just like, does she want to do public speaking? Probably not. Does she want to make a presentation? Probably not. But I can also help her do those things.
And she gets to Tech Park at 9 and doesn't until like 6 or 6:30. That's on a good. That's not when they're up against a deadline. So
Yes. You guys, and just so you know, as programmers and projects and software, crunch is a real thing. And so if all of a sudden your employers are like, all right, we're going to do 20 to 40 hours of OT this week so we can meet a deadline, that's not unusual. Especially because bugs. Bugs will put everything behind schedule. So there are times where there's a contractual obligation to get this piece. Is it first to market? Does it need to have, for some reason, it has to be done. So, cool, it's OT. You get more money in your pocket. But just understand that is a normal thing for the end of a project, for people to ramp up, work crunch, or we have the different terms for it. And then, everyone gets the party afterwards. And if you're working for a good company, it'll take you out for food and stuff like that.
I do have a question. How do certifications play a part in? I have a degree, but what if my degree isn't really related to my
The certification that you have.
certification?
You're talking about like if you were getting a programming language certification or like a program certification versus your overall degree.
Right, like for instance, okay, I was looking at a Python certification. Python is up and coming. We don't currently have it here at Southern. So I was wondering how would that play a part in, I have my degree, my concentration is information systems, so it's like a business. But I went and got a certification in Python. Does that, because some people, they have conflicting information about it. Some people say, oh, well, it helps. And some people I feel like that's a waste of time because you paid all that money for your degree.
So whenever we look at certifications like that, you trained giving yourself a feather in your cap from something at all. Whoever told you that's not a good thing, I can't agree with them because it doesn't matter, right? So like I might get like a PMP for project management, but I'm doing business development. The point is that the people see that you are training yourself, you're doing extracurricular activities. Like whenever I have someone come up for a job and they have other crazy things they've done, that just makes it look better. It's not like they're spreading themselves too thin, of course. Like that's individual to the person. So they're talking to you and you're all over the place and you're like, I'm doing Python, I'm doing PHP, I'm doing C++, I'm doing C#, and having all of those, because I know plenty of programmers that know multiple languages, but saying that you're trying, maybe you're not focused on any one of them, but you're learning all of them and you want to see where it goes, might not be as beneficial for you to specialize in one, to make sure you can speak intelligently about it and produce work. That's the main thing, is can you be production ready to where with minimal training of the company, can you actually do the things that you say you can do with this?
And also with the 800 plus job openings we have, we'll talk with companies that are looking to move here or open up shop in Baton Rouge and they said, we need 100 people with 4-year degrees and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, do you really, can you get someone who just graduated from the RCC? Maybe they're just out of high school and their resume, digital resume looks awesome. Maybe they have certificates. They're like, yeah, as long as they can do the job, we don't care. It's like, okay, so you don't need that. So certificates are just as well. Y'all getting a 4-year degree, that's great. Don't misunderstand me with that. But having certificates and going above and beyond, that's just the cherry on top. That's fantastic.
That's what will make you stand out. Talking about earlier, is those certifications. It's the fact that we know that you care about things in your spare time.
Yeah. It may not
You're going to train
guys
yourself.
might have anything to do with the job. They're like, you went above and beyond and you spent your Sunday nights when you could be out partying or whatever, learning this, then that speaks to your character, and I would take you any day over someone that's
What languages would you recommend or type of certifications? Because there's a Network Security Plus certification that's out there, and that's geared towards cybersecurity.
So it really depends, and I think you're kind of in like still a growth point where like you want to find your place that you're fitting into.
Right.
So the easiest way to answer that is find a job posting, the job that you want, and see what it says. That's really ultimately all of it. If you're like, I want to be a blank, or I just want to find out what this company hires, go to their website. IBM's a great example. Find the job role that's closest to what you're looking for, and see what their requirements are. Because also they people with 4-year degrees, they need 7 years experience in the field. They're going to have some things in there when you're looking at all of these. They're going to be intimidating. It's going to be a daunting bullet point list of requirements. If you can at least just comfortably know that you're confident that you have 50 to 75% of that skill set, and you're coachable, and you're willing to learn, and you're a good team player. Like, we'll train anybody up.
Yeah. They all know that you're graduating out. You have certain skill sets, but you need more. They know that. That's okay. Don't. If you can get 50 to 70% of what they're asking for, you're cool.
Because the other people are also, I think of it this way, you're thinking, oh, I'm competing with people that have all these requirements. Those people, 75% means you're in the top tier rung of the candidates for that position. If you have 100%, you're probably overqualified. Just to be very frank, like if someone like for the video game industry, for example, like they're looking for like an executive producer that's got 4 AAA titles, all this other kind of stuff, that person probably isn't looking for a job. Like that's their, if we had the best possible candidate with the most amazing experience that would make our company $1 million. This is what we're looking for.
And remember also, I mean, they have HR people that are talking to legal. They're like, well, we have to put this in just in case, you know, you need to go out and wash a window or something, so we have to put this in. So sometimes they just start throwing the kitchen sink in there just because of legal or HR requirements. So don't get too uptight on something.
Certs are good. Certs are really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
There's more feathers in your cap, right? So like when you walk in there, you've got a bunch of stuff to show. And then the other thing is that if you have a certification in something, you should probably have an example of the code on your repository. That way they know that you can do it. You know, and that goes back. You guys have the easiest as programmers. You have the absolute easiest way of applying for things because your code review is how all programmers get jobs. I've never seen a programmer get a job without a code review ever. And so they'll just be able to look at that. Half the time, like I mentioned, I don't know if you guys were in here, I was talking about being at a party and one of these guys got a job at Blizzard because he showed on his phone the code review, right? Like, that's insane. But that's all that person needed to see to know that this guy could do the job with him. And he felt confident after doing some social interactions with him that he could be a team player for the culture of they're a huge company. Their culture is a huge issue to them.
So what happened was what I was afraid was going to happen. We're talking way too long. So, but just know that Isaiah has all of our information. We are more than happy to come another night, another day. Y'all come by the tech park, do whatever. This is a conversation. You have opportunities to see us again, whether you want to or not. We're happy to continue this conversation. Unfortunately, I forgot my cards, but
I have one, and it's in my car, and I'll have to search for where my car is right now.
between all the streets and everything else, in fact, here, let me just
Email will do.
Yep.
So, yeah, oh, and guys, I don't think y'all are in here, so Celebrate Brew and Get Started Louisiana, these are two events that are happening next week. Celebrate Brew is all about entrepreneurship, so it starts, there's a party starting Tuesday night, there's gonna be, it's down at LSU, there's a 3-story building there, there'll be a lot